What's up, guys? It's been a while. I know it's been like a week. I had a very busy week. Thank you guys for keeping track along the way. I was first I went to Cali, went to Long Beach, gave a little bit of a speech over there. And then I just came back from Atlantic City yesterday. But Atlantic City, I was kind of in and out of. I was just tired, man. I couldn't wait to go back home. And guys, I'm going to share with you the details of that when it's just us. But right now I have a guest. I have Russ in the background as well. I got Sean Grogan here. So I really can't talk too much about what I've done because that would be a little bit disrespectful to my guests who want to talk to you as well. Also, guess what, guys? Ann Salter has confirmed. So if you guys aren't aware, Ann Salter wrote the book called Predators. She's an expert when it comes to sex offenders. And she will be on the show, I believe, Friday, June 3rd at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think it's going to be a phenomenal interview. Guys, if you haven't, you got to read her book. Her book is not for the sensitive, but guys, she really breaks down sex offenders. I mean, the different types from pedophiles to child molesters. And yeah, Alicia is always behind the scenes helping me. Thank you, Alicia. Much love to Alicia. I haven't got a chance to talk to Alicia for a while. So it's always good to see everybody. Dr. Z, what's up? Eric, I got a chance to meet Eric at Masca. I know who Eric S. is now. Hello, everyone. Rob, what's up, Rob? And Tara, we're now friends on Facebook. I saw your request, and I made sure I accepted it. All right, guys, so real quick, today's video is going to be about body language. How can you tell somebody is a threat? And we have an expert on, Sean Grogan. We also have Russ. Believe it or not, Russ was successful in a lot of his searches because he was able to read the body language of inmates. And I'm going to also show some videos to kind of show you what it is that we're talking about, to illustrate some of the body language that may be a threat. Now, by the way, guys, Sean and Russ are also know that we have people from the outside as well. So they're also going to give some tidbits to you, ladies and gentlemen from the outside, who may want to know if someone's a threat to you in the outside world. So I think it's going to be a great dialogue. I think we're going to have some fun. We already have 41 people in here, so I know it's only going to get bigger. And Julie, thank you. Julie's trying to get a show with working a show with me and a gentleman named Michael. We're still in the process of working it out. I sent them an email. I'm still waiting for the return. But thank you, Julia, for helping me. I'm telling you guys are just great. And I want to say something before I say my sponsors and bring on the guests. I missed you guys. I really missed you guys. I was, out in Long Beach, and I wanted to do a few live shows, but I really had to stay focused with giving the keynote. But, I felt the love every day. I mean, you guys were messaging and just emailing me, and I get back to everyone. Hope you guys see that. So, and we got Andy. Andy's here too, jail guy. We remember Andy. I missed you too, guys. I missed you, Tara. Missed everyone. All right, guys. So real quick, the show is brought to you by 3 sponsors. We have miss you too, David. Miss you too. So we have 3 sponsors: American Military University. American Military University is a great spot if you're looking to seek higher level education. Again, if you're looking to seek that degree, please check out American Military University. It's a great online school. Very supportive of what we do in corrections, and also very supportive of what we do on Tier Talk. I also have Guardian RFID. And guys, I did get a chance to hang out with some of the people from Guardian RFID. I'm just going to show you some of the pictures real quick, because they're just, they're very supportive of what we do in corrections. So actually, I only took a picture with one of the representatives, me and Mackenzie. I'm surprised I can't find everybody else. That's weird. That's a problem. So I just could have swore I took pictures with the whole crew. That's going to get me in trouble. All right, so either way, again, we have. I swear to God, I thought I took pictures with everybody. How embarrassing! All right, so guys, we have Guardian RFID, from inmate tracking and cell checks to cloud-based business and artificial intelligence. Guardian RFID digitally transforms jails, prisons, and juvenile detention facilities of every size. Yeah, that's a big whoops, Jill. It's a big whoops. Visit GuardianRFID.com for more information. And my last sponsor is Shea USA. Guys, all the metal detectors in the airports, most of them in the prison, are from Shea USA, CEIA. They also sponsor my show. So again, it's CEIA. Share USA is the world's leading weapon, cell phone, and contraband detection system manufacturer for corrections. For more information, contact Joe Vasquez at 440-561-7615. He's a subject matter expert. He's passionate about our industry, and he will take good care of you. All right, guys. So let me bring on my first guest. We have Russ. What's up, Russ? We're up to almost 50 people in here right now. We're growing. What's going on?
Hey, here I am, Anthony. It's great to be here. I'm really stoked about this guest, primarily because I managed to make a lot of different busts and recover a lot of different weapons based on body language. With me, though, it was kind of a gut instinct kind of thing. Eventually, I was able to figure out what my subconscious was looking at. I think this guy can really shortcut a lot of people, though, to some of the answers. I've done some of my stuff on it over the years, so I think it's going to be great to hear this guy get into the reasons why people do the things that they do, talking with their hands, talking with their body, and everything else. And hopefully it'll translate over to some of the officers out there doing a little bit better on picking up on some of this stuff.
Russ, you got a lot of people here fanning over you. I don't get that. I would like to get some fanning. I got no fan girls or fan guys. But Russ, do you mind introducing yourself to our audience, please?
My name is Russ Hamilton. I am a former and retired sergeant from California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. I'm also a former senior juvenile correctional officer for a local county here. I currently work for a private company, and we do reentry and rehabilitation work for a local probation department and for a local county jail, where I am the case manager for that company.
And by the way, Russ, thank you for everything you do and you continue to do. Now, guys, we're going to bring on our featured guest. We have Sean Grogan. He's an author. Actually, Alicia B had a chance to read your book, Sean. She said it was a great read. But Sean, do you mind introducing yourself to our audience, please?
Sure, will do. Thank you, Alicia. Thanks for the support. I'm glad you enjoyed the book. My name's Sean Grogan. I'm a former special investigations detective from Woodbridge, New Jersey. I spent the majority of my career in the narcotics unit, working drug cases. I was also a gang investigator and a canine handler. I went to Europe extensively and studied nonverbal communication, facial expressions, and body language. I'm also got certified as a trainer for the Body Language Institute down in Virginia. And I work for Joe Navarro's Body Language Academy, mentoring people from around the world. That's the majority being civilians. Everything else is pretty much for law enforcement that I do. I train currently around the country, around the United States, for two classes: unmasking hidden facial expressions and body language for law enforcement. So I've been traveling this year alone. I'm scheduled to do 64 classes around the country.
Hey, a lot of people know who Joe Navarro is. I mean, I have his book too. It's a great, phenomenal read. So did you get a chance to meet Joe?
All through Zoom. We were scheduled to do some things, possibly meet. Then COVID hit. So everything was Zoom meets every time I've met him.
Well, COVID ruined everything.
Well, listen, if you ever get a chance to meet him, I would love to have you and Joe on. That would be pretty cool.
He's a wealth of information, a wealth. I mean, the cataloging that he's done of certain human behavior is just amazing.
Well, let me ask you a question before we start. Obviously, body language is great for us to know in law enforcement, but how could body language also help just the average Joe or Jane on the streets?
Well, for anybody that's concerned with their safety and wants to know when people are possibly lying to them, we use body language as a tool to assist in detecting deception. Notice I say assist because there's no A plus B equals C for detecting deception, and also for detecting aggression. I want to know when someone's might become aggressive with me. However, when they've got a facade, oh, everything's okay, and they're being deceptive, but they have plans on hurting me or taking something from me.
All right, now, guys, obviously everybody's sending their love, which is great. All right, so Joe, real quick, Joe, I'm thinking of Navarro. Hey, so Sean, before we get into the major discussion, I know you mentioned your book. I just wanted to ask you something. What made you decide to write the book on body language? What made you so devoted to this topic? What inspired you?
I think we spend too much time listening to what people say and how we're going to respond to people. and we're not paying attention to the things that are happening right in front of us. And as far as safety for law enforcement around the country, I started writing the book for law enforcement. I'm like, no, I'm going to cast a wider net. This is something, everything I go over in the book can be utilized by the general public, anyone that's concerned with their safety. And I'm very passionate about it because I feel there's things like Russ, we talked a little bit before we started. Hey, I picked up on this, I picked up on that, but could you articulate it to yourself? Did you hesitate because you're like, nah, maybe I'm not recognizing this? But if you can say, whoa, I've read about this, I've heard about this, I know this is a movement where I should have the hair on the back of my neck, and maybe I should move away from this person, not spending more time here. Maybe I should prepare myself to have to fight someone, as opposed to going, nah, I just don't feel right. It's better to be able to articulate it, and we can act quicker.
So are we saying that people lie, but their body language is a little bit harder for them to control?
Yes. There's also statement analysis as well. When we have all these tools we want to put together, we pay attention to the words, and you pay attention to the body, and you are versed in how to ask questions. You're not completely unstoppable, but yeah. And yep.
Mark, I took his course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I took his course. It's you're 100%. It's I know you're lying. It's statement analysis, how to read through people's statements, especially when those statements are made under pressure, which we'll get to with the body language.
Yep, and that's 100%. There's so much stuff that people are telling us that we're not picking up on. And on top of that, you should also be reading body language at the same time. If I see a slight movement at one point, the shoulder shrug of uncertainty, when I ask a specific question, well, what are they uncertain about? It might be they're uncertain just how to answer. Maybe they're uncertain why they're talking to you. But at that time, I'm going to ask some more questions when I pick up on different movements like this.
Yeah, and Patty says, I freeze up when physically confronted because of early abuse. Any suggestions on how to break that reaction? Well, let's get to that, Patty. So what we'll do is we're going to run through the beginning, Patty, and then what we're going to do is we'll get to the questions in the audience. But I do want to get to that because you're going to be a big part of the show as we progress, because we do want to show you some videos. So please, guys, have those questions saved up and ready, because we're definitely going to spend a big part of our show answering your questions. We're prepared to be here for a little bit doing that. Hey, Russ, real quick, just with my correctional people, how important is body language in corrections, man?
So, body language in corrections, I mean, first of all, pre-attack indicators are, huge. Learning how to read people, like Sean said about, seeing where that aggression is, where it's coming from, getting yourself ready. Maintaining tactical distancing. I mean, we come back to that time and time again where we see someone who's dropped not their physical guard, but kind of their mental guard, and let someone get too close and have something happen. So, you know what? If you go in there and you try and, develop the right habits, which are maintaining that distancing, watching what the person is doing, observing whether or not you've seen their hands out or go back to their pockets or so forth, all kinds of things to keep yourself safe. It's really important, guys, and I can't stress that enough. The other part of it, though, is trying to be able to do it on the fly is a little more difficult. Sometimes you just need to listen to your gut feeling and instantly distance yourself. Get some help there, pull your spray, pull your baton, whatever you have to do, put that person into restraints, because a lot of times you've picked up on it and you shrug it off, and you shouldn't have. I've experienced that myself. I've gotten better at it over the years, though.
Yeah, and guys, by the way, so I used to work with a gentleman named Dale Sollers, and we went around teaching like identifying deceptive behavior. So a lot of the focus was on body language. But I want you guys to realize something. When it comes to interrogation and stuff like that, there has to be pressure. If there's no pressure, there's going to be no sign. So that could be just more of the person's habit. So again, when you put pressure, you have to kind of break. Like, is this the person's normal behavior or not? So it's like a baseline. You have to kind of get to know the person first, make them comfortable, and then look for sudden shifts when certain questions are asked that break away from that baseline. But I'll tell you something, guys. It is a very valuable tool. But, and I'm going to ask Sean this real quick before we start showing you some videos, it's hard to turn off.
Yeah, that's one of the things. I bring it up as for anyone that worked patrol. They're used to reading license plates, and sometimes when they're off and they'll be driving, they read those plates. They don't even want to. There's no reason to read the license plate in front of them. They're not working. And it's the same way if you're used to reading faces as much in body language. you'll pick up on things that, well, why did I see that? Why did those lips disappear when I said that? Why did the inner corners of the eyebrows raise? That's pretty interesting. What could they possibly be sad about? Or did I just move that way? And you're reading things you don't even want to. There's no reason to at the time.
Right. You know what's funny? Like, I used to do that with my wife sometimes, but to be honest, even if my wife was lying, I can't put any pressure on her. So she's very like comfortable, but like some of the tactics you use for the inmates is not going to work on the ones that you love, because technically they have, she's the wife. She has a little bit more control. So what I'm going to do, guys, we have a lot to cover here today. We're going to break down certain parts of the book, which I believe Alicia is very familiar with. Alicia, if you had any questions that you read from the book, let us know. Also, Tara Ellis says she's a big fan of Chase Hughes. Read his books. He's really good too. Are you familiar with Chase Hughes, Sean?
Yeah, the ellipsis manual and I think it's the however many minute X-ray. Yeah, I have the ellipsis manual right there. The X-ray books in the other room. There's a lot of good stuff. He does a lot on linguistics as well. On top of his periodic table of movements. That's something that it's very, very intense. And for you to go through that, you'd have to spend months breaking down, okay, well, someone performed this behavior with that behavior. My approach is much more basic, where, okay, I'm noticing the things, they happen at the same time. Why is this occurring?
Well, when we talked about the read, I know Eric mentioned the read technique for Sean. I know for me, real quick, I did some studying on that as well, which was incorporated into the IDB method. Because again, I believe the read technique was really focused on interview and interrogation techniques. But I'm sure that crosses into definitely what you're doing too, Sean, right? Are you familiar with the read technique?
Yes. Yeah. I didn't do the full 4-day. I did what they did was a 1 day where they condensed everything. But instead of spending a half a day on themes, it was probably 20 minutes. And instead of giving all the examples, they were like, listen, you're going to get all the information, but it's all going to be in this 1 day. It was a long day. And I can't imagine doing the 3 days. I guess just hammering it into your head. But it's a technique like anything else. You use parts of it, the all-knowing part. It's the themes are great. I mean, you use themes all the time. Hey, it's not your fault this happened. It's the drugs you're on, right? Is that why you broke in the house? Like there's a lot of information. I thought it was pretty good. I know they've gotten some backlash, but they're the largest interview interrogation probably in the country, or at least they've been around maybe the longest still. So when you get that big, you're gonna get people that pick apart things you do. I don't like you when you do this. I don't like this part.
Well, guys, there's also certain parts of the read technique where you can't use them in all states. So when they teach the course, they pretty much let you know, like there are certain things you can do in this state that you can't do in this state. Some parts would even be lying to the person that you are interviewing and interrogating. Some states allow you to do that to work on getting the confession. Some states may not allow you to do that, and they'll say that the confession is kind of like coerced or false or whatever. But either way, I took the 4-day one. I took the 4-day one years ago. We're talking about the days of Dale Sollers, and I believe Dale Sollers wrote a book. I got to look that up, and I'm pretty sure he has a book out there. I got to find out. But guys, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to show you a quick video. We're going to do that right now. And then we're going to break down the video a little bit. And then we're going to break into some open dialogue. So guys, I want you as the audience as well to pay attention to the video and give us some comments, because we're going to feed off that. I have about a few videos that I want to show you guys. So I would love the interaction from you guys as well, because I'm going to pop that into the chat and, build comments from that. And let's go with the first one real quick. So we're going to do a few prison and a few police, just to kind of get into both worlds. So we'll do the prison first. So bear with me. I got to show respect to prisons there, Sean. So we're going to do this one first. So here we go. Bear with me.
An inmate attacks a sheriff's deputy in Florida. Hillsborough County Sheriff's investigators say Mickler Gabriel refused to back away from the door as the deputy was opening it. That's when he repeatedly punched the deputy in the face. It's caught on video. Another deputy helped restrain the 38-year-old inmate. Gabriel is now facing additional felony charges of battery on a law enforcement officer. The deputy had to be hospitalized for lacerations, swelling, and bruising. Hello, I'm Mark.
All right, guys, I just want to do it. I want to show that video one more time. just so we can get the
An inmate attacks a sheriff's deputy in Florida. Hillsborough County Sheriff's investigator Mickler Gabriel refused to back away from a door as the deputy was opening it. That's when he repeatedly punched the deputy in the face. It's caught on video.
Oh.
Another deputy helped restrain the 38-year-old inmate. Gabriel is now facing additional felony charges.
Real quick, I'll go with Sean first and Russ. I know this one's a little bit quick because as soon as you get into it, you already see the person getting ready, but there is a second there, and I know that will give us a chance to talk about the pre-indicators. But Sean, what is it that you saw right off the bat in that video?
He's got blading to the body. You got that one shoulder is off. It's not level with the other one. The one foot's back slightly, and we got a right shoulder dropping back rapidly. If you got someone that's facing off with you, blading their body, and that one shoulder goes back, well, I'm going to prepare myself, right? I'm not going to have my notepad still and say, oh, I got more questions, or, oh, do you still need directions from me? No, something's intimate. You've got that one shoulder going back. Yes. Could someone be reaching back for their wallet? Sure, but I'm not going to stand there and find out.
So here, we can break it down again while I show it. So what do you see again, Sean? You see, what do you see right before he punches?
That slight blading to the body. We got that one arm there. I can't tell because it's happening so quick. If he's got the digital flexion, the firm digital flexion, the balling of the fist, the clenching of the fist, then you've got that shoulder dropping back going forward.
Now, let me ask you a question, Sean, because let me just stop this for a second. So a lot of this stuff is really quick. I mean, it really is in milliseconds.
Yep.
But the one thing I thought that was unique on the receiving end is someone asked a question here, and I'll go to Russ real quick. And by the way, thank you for that great analysis there, Sean. I wanted to go to Russ on something real quick. Russ, is there anything about that officer that made him vulnerable for the inmate to want to punch him?
I think the first thing that the officer did, and we're all guilty of this, so I'm not trying to pick on that, but he didn't maintain that tactical distancing. The second thing is he obviously at some point he starts to give him a command there, and he starts to point, and he kind of opens himself up at that point to invite the attack to him. And it may seem like a small thing, and it is, but having your hands down and the lack of the tactical distancing, it's just not the best way to get into a habit around inmates doing that. He should have had the inmate wait back, given better directions, possibly had another officer there. And of course, yeah, that all is a little bit on the hindsight side too, because it's easy to look back and say, hey, he should have done X, Y, and Z. But when you develop good, healthy habits with regards to maintaining that tactical distancing, you do a lot better when you have that chance to have that extra quarter of a second to respond and react. And there's some officers out there that they're hesitant in what they do with an inmate and not giving them clear direction. Hey, no, hey, wait, that's far enough. Wait for me to open the door. Do whatever else needs to be done, but do whatever you have to do to give you that extra little bit of time. Even if you think this inmate is no threat at all, you still get to develop the habit.
I want you to know, I want to read up a couple of comments here because everybody's in agreement. Jose says inmate was too close hands. We're down too far. And he's talking about the officer's hands. I love, again, we got the still things standing too close, but Alicia said, and I agree with what Sean said too. It's subtle because of the space, but you could see the inmate right foot back, right shoulder drop. And I like what Jose says, because I saw this too. And I want to show the video one more time. When he points down, his eyes go away from the inmate's hand. So let's do this real quick. First, let me show that again, because that's a great find by Jose. 100%. I saw that right off the bat as well. And I want to ask you both the question about this. So, but look, when he points to the shoe, his eyes go away from the hand, and the inmate takes advantage of that. Or points to the waist. So they show it again real quick. But the inmate took advantage of that immediately. Boom. Now let me also, I want to mention something here real quick. Hold on, let me get it up there. Let me ask you a question so we're all on the same page. And I'll start with Sean first. What, at that point, where should that officer's eyes be on? First of all, we know he should be distant. We get all that. But where should he be focused? Where's the greatest threat on that inmate's body?
His hands. You're looking for hands, number one. I'm also using my peripherals on everything. And actually, I bring this up in my book when I was in 6th grade, I got into a fight, and I'd been in plenty of fights in elementary school, and they were all wrestling and grappling fights. Then when I got to middle school in 6th grade, I thought when a kid pushed me, I pushed him back. We did this a couple times. I'm looking at the center of his body here. I'm not using my peripherals. I'm just focused in, thinking he's going to push me again. I'm going to push him back. And he went back, and all of a sudden, I didn't see it coming. Bow, right in my mouth, cracked a tooth. Why would you look at just one area? And I learned from then on, because not everyone's just going to grapple and wrestle towards you. I thought he was going to come towards and we were going to wrestle. People, a lot of times, adults, you're going to use those hands. And I also want to pay attention to everything else, because yes, people will kick, people will bite. We've all been in fights before. It's not just hands. It's not just fists, but that's what's going for you a lot of the time. Russ, would you agree?
Yeah, you know, the thing about the extremities, the kicks and the hits and things like that, those tend to present the most immediate threat, because they're the ones that can actually do that knockout to you, and then that makes you vulnerable, because then your C-spine and head and all that stuff is right there where they can kick it. If an inmate is going to grab me and he doesn't have a weapon in his hands, cool. You know, because, you know, I can wrap him up. I can do a few things. I can stop him from hitting me. I can get my hooks into him, and, you know, and I can wait for help to get there. But when some guy's going to instantly knock you down, knock you out, and then expose your head and C-spine and all that to a potential kick, that's where the real threat comes in. So you do have to, you know, watch those hands, especially because, in my mind at least, and I've seen a lot of it over the years, that's where things can happen so fast that help maybe can't get to you in time.
Now, guys, I want to mention something real quick, because I do have a few questions before we move forward. One thing is, there should have been 2 officers there, to be honest with you. When I hear the Monday night quarterback, so granted, mistakes do happen. It's just in our business. Mistakes can be quite a consequence. But yes, there should have been 2 officers. I think there was a level of comfortability with dealing with that inmate. But remember, I think Steve said it best, Maynard, inmates are opportunists. You know, so at any point they can act very impulsively. They could have very little control over their emotions, and this could be the end result. But again, you know, you got to be there for your partner, regardless of what that inmate was unsecured to begin with, which maybe it could be their level. I don't know. But with that said, the second officer was definitely should have been on site. And I will tell you one thing, thank God that door is open and the officer could come through. I mean, there could be times where, let's just say something happens, that could have turned into an easy hostage situation, because that officer was knocked out for a second. If you want to take a look, let me just show you this real quick. If you could see, this officer was knocked out. So that other officer came, I mean, at the perfect time, because watch, that officer is knocked out from the punch when he goes against the wall, but then he comes to. But all you need is a brief second to be knocked out to be hit again, but he gets knocked out. He's knocked out. He's totally knocked out for a second, and then you had the other officer that came in that stopped him. But that could have been a lot worse if that other officer didn't come in. But there it goes again. He's knocked out. And the second shot was right across the nose. Let me ask you a question, guys, before we go to the next video real quick, because this was a good question asked by Fuzzy, I believe. And I want to make sure we give the right advice here. And I do like Felicia. Felicia. Whoa. I do like Alicia's answer towards it. But Fuzzy, I can't find your question, Fuzz. Can you ask it again if you're still here? She basically had a question about, where is it? Staring at the individual, or here it goes. Wait, hold on. It's not it. I want to give justice to her. Hey, Fuzzy, you're still here. I see you. Oh, here it goes. Question. If you think someone is coming at you, should you stare at them like you're not intimidated? So I'll have Russ go first and Sean.
Okay, so understand that question can be viewed from 2 different perspectives. Me as a correctional peace officer and what I was doing, and having some inmate mean mug me, absolutely that was going to be a challenge that was going to be met at least with a stare. And then depending on what else was going on around us, was probably going to be some reason for me to come over there with a couple of my buddies, and we're going to do a little bit of searching and figuring out who these guys are and why they're placing themselves in this area. And so it's not just about the mean mugging, as we call it, or to put a little less politely, being skull fucked. So, from my perspective, that's something I would always stare back, because if I didn't, that would be a disrespect to me that they knew that they could get away with, and then they would just, punk me out for my entire yard. So my perspective is different from someone who may not want to meet that stare with equal ferocity and put them up to a challenge as to whether they're going to come over there and take your wallet. So it's two very different things and two different types of outcomes that you could be trying to get out of that, depending on what your role is.
What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
I agree 100%. As far as working on the street and that as a patrol officer or a detective, I'm not going to let someone stare me down and look away at them. Absolutely not. I'm going to let them know I'm ready to go. If you want to continue staring at me, you're not going to have me back down. But I agree 100%. If you're in a civilian situation and you're walking and you just want to be left alone, one thing I do bring up is if you're walking, let's say, in the 10 at night, 2 in the morning through a parking garage, you're walking past someone and they're staring at you. I also want to let them know I know they're there. I want to look that way. I might not stare at them as a 10, but I'm going to look at them and let them know I'm not afraid to look at you, no matter who I am. Number one. Number two, I'm also not going to smile, because there's certain parts of the country we do a polite smile when we see other people. Gesture. Yes, the chimpanzees do the same thing with chimps. The superior chimps, they will smile at them and say, I'm not a threat. Why would you want to let someone know you're not a threat? Now, we go out to most of the country where we're at in Jersey, we're not smiling at people when they walk out of the store in front of them, like, well, who the fuck is this guy? We're not doing that. However, I travel the country. There's parts of most of this country, you walk past people in Texas, doesn't have to just be hiking somewhere. They'll walk past you. Hey, how you doing tonight? Smiling at you. You do that in Jersey, I'm like, who the fuck are you? But down there, that's part of the culture. And I do it back because that's the polite smile. However, certain situations, 2 in the morning or even 2 in the afternoon, you're someone staring at you, staring you down. Why would you smile to show that you're submissive?
Yeah, and remember, guys, Connie shared a story a while back where she would smile a lot, and the inmates kind of looked at it as like, yeah, but that smile can mean a lot more than what Connie actually wants it to be. So she had to address that. And guys, from my experience, I agree with Sean and Russ as well. If an inmate, I wrote a book, guys, on the manipulation, right? So they do look at you. So when they're staring at you, and if by one chance you just say, well, I'm going to divert my eyes for a second, that could be an easy sign of weakness. And the next thing you know, they could start crafting a game that could be based on intimidation and coercion, because they could see that you're weak-minded. And at least for us, if someone starts staring at me and I catch it, I want them to know it's our world, and I will walk up to them and say, hey, what's going on? Is there a concern? Or they need to know that. Listen, doesn't mean I could beat up the inmate. It's not about that. It's about they know I at least have heart. And I'm going to go up and say, hey, listen, is there a reason why you're looking at me? You sizing me up? What's going on? I'm just curious because you keep on looking my way. But the one thing you cannot ever do, is move your eyes away or look down. You got to, I'm not saying you have to have a staring contest with the individual, but the moment you catch it, you could walk right up. It doesn't got to be an awkward minute of you two staring with each other. Just, hey, what's going on? You got a problem with, what's happening here? Women are taught to be nice, but that doesn't show strength. Practice your RBF for situations like this. She's right. The Jersey attitude won't ever really go away. Yeah, that's 100% true. Melissa's like, I love watching Anthony's videos, so educational, especially since I'm in school for my BS in criminal justice. Awesome to see the side of the criminal justice field. Yes, I totally agree. I thank you, Melissa, for watching. And Julie says, I wouldn't mess with Russ. He looks intimidating, just saying. Let me tell you something, guys. I got a chance to meet Russ, and I mentioned this last time, and I'll say it again. I'm eyes to his crotch. I mean, literally, that's exactly. Russ is over 6 feet tall, and I think my license says I'm 5'5", but you know what I mean? I don't know anymore, man. I still got the same photo from like 12 years ago. All right, so guys, I want to show you some more videos. I have another video I want to show you real quick. We're going to go one more at the prison, then we're going to go to the police side of things. But I do want to discuss the 5 pin pools. But why don't we do one more video first, and then we'll go from there. Hey, Dawn, NYC strong all day. Right by me. Only the 8th Amendment applies to prisoners. What about the 4th? Does that imply? Well, I don't know, Rush, you want to answer that real quick while I set up the video?
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, within a prison setting, there's no real expectation that you can't search and seize them, because even to some degree within the jails, due process has been levied. Due process in the jails tends to be more along the lines of probable cause. And within the prisons, it's more along within the lines of due process has been levied either by a jury or by a guilty conviction, based on a plea agreement. So that's what you look at with respect to that there. I'm not exactly sure what the person is getting at otherwise, but there's gosh, I want to say I think it was back in '72 or so. I think it was Supreme Court decided that inmates were not necessarily civilly dead, as they put it, and they did retain some of their rights. Now, needless to say, some of those rights are taken away altogether, right to bear arms, for instance, but some of the things that they get to do, some of the things that they get to enjoy, some of the protections that they have with regards to, you mentioned the eighth, cruel and unusual punishment, excessive bail, and all that stuff, they are protected from. So if you care to flesh that out a little bit, maybe I could answer it a little better. I hope some of what I made there makes sense.
Yeah, I think so. And guys, by the way, RBF was right to bear firearm. I believe that's what Alicia was saying. I see it in the chat. Okay, guys, so let me show you this video real quick. Here we go. Now, I am going to show it one more time because this actually gives us a lot of time here to explore. But there is definitely something that I see at the very beginning of this video that Sean mentioned in an interview he did on another channel. But let me just do it again. But Sean, first I want people to see it. So hold on. Let me get back to you. Sean, in the video I saw on this other channel, you were being interviewed. You mentioned this unique thing about the pacifying gestures and to be very wary of those pacifying gestures. And before he swings, there is a pacifying gesture.
Yes. And
So, okay,
yeah.
Sean, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I actually know this video. I use it in my classes, and I'm going to give you the backstory because I went to a class, and that cop that the sheriff's officer that tackles him, or the CO, I've been out drinking with him. I don't know if he was a CO at the time. When this is in Racine County, Washington, Wisconsin. I'm sorry, it's in Wisconsin. So I'll give you the backstory afterwards. But yes, he starts rubbing his eyes, which is often occurs. It could be one of two things. Could be a deceptive behavior. And also, you'll see this a lot as a blocking behavior. They found that children born blind will close their eyes, hold their eyes, or rub their eyes when they hear things they don't like. It's just something that people do. Now, it could also be a deceptive behavior. And here, that happens to be what it is. We also have that rubbing of the eyes and the blading of the body. You have some slight digital flexion in that right hand prior to that rubbing of the eyes. And do you want the backstory now, or I'll give it after? I'll let Russ go first. I'll give the backstory.
Well, I want to say something.
Okay, let me take a stab in the dark at the backstory.
Russ, I got to correct something real quick. So okay. I thought RBF was right to bear firearm.
Resting bitch face.
Yeah, until you were joking.
Well, no, I really wasn't, man.
Oh, I thought you were joking.
So, I thought he was joking too.
Yeah.
Another error, but that's why we have our audience here. But go ahead, Russ. I apologize.
Okay, so in all of this, where for me the part for me is where he starts to hesitate, because as he starts to hesitate, it looks to me like he starts to coil, like he's getting ready. But the other part about this that I happen to notice, and my eyes are not what they once were, but if you will look close in on that, this guy, at least from the way this video looks, he's dressed to the right. You see how he has his pant leg up?
Yep.
Let me rewind it real quick. I was trying to see if I could slow motion it, but it's not going to allow me to do that.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you can talk.
Okay, when I see that, and it's completely different out here in California, but I think Sean maybe can add some to this. He's dressed to the right there, and so right or left depends in this area of the country on whether you're aligned with folks and people. So I don't know that this wasn't maybe in some ways, some kind of saving face, some kind of respect issue with regards to that. I don't know, but he's definitely trying to project that he's somebody. But like I say, not my area of expertise because we have different gangs out here.
Yeah,
What's your thoughts on that, Sean?
I'm sorry. Yeah, this was in Wisconsin, so I don't know what gang he was in, or if he's even affiliated. But I mean, he's obviously got the one pant leg up. He's most likely repping something, right? The backstory on this was, so I teach the class. That's where a guy goes, "Hey, that's our jail." I go, "Yeah." He goes, "The guy who tackles him," he goes, "I'm going out drinking with him tonight. If you want to know more about this." I go, "Oh yeah, I do drinks. I'm down." So I go out, I meet this guy, real nice guy. We start talking. He goes, "Yeah," he was mouthing off back and forth with another inmate. The inmate was about phone privileges, something with the phone. He goes, "They bring him out. They've never had an issue with him before." And he just misplaced anger, takes it all on that other CO or a sheriff's officer. When he got it, he told me too. He goes, "That other guy, he can fight. He just got snuck." He's like, he can fight. It's nothing. He just got snuck. But it's one of those things. If you recognize the behavior, say, okay, he's mouthing off with someone else. He starts blading his body away from me and starts rubbing his eyes. Why is he doing this? I prepare myself. The hair on the back of my neck I should be on alert.
Yeah, that's one thing that I point out in some of the stuff where I talk about things that we take for granted about the way that we act toward people. We wouldn't misplace that aggression. We wouldn't get mad at the person to the right of us and hit the person to the left of us. And that's where I talk about risk aversion and empathy and being able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Most people can't do that with criminals like this because they don't understand that if they're mad, they'll just blast on somebody. And the case in the story that you've got there perfectly dovetails with that. It's a great example of something that most people never understand because they don't see this kind of thing up close.
Yeah, and let me share a little something, guys. So out in Chicago, you had two cultures that were developed out of many street gangs. One was People Nation, one was Folk Nation. The reason why is on the street you would have all these gangs that would have these beefs, but when they came in the prison setting, in order to get some organization, Larry Hoover and Jeff Ford, Al Rukin, Black P. Stone, whatever, formed two bigger groups that had to be aligned. So you had those that were people and those that were folk. So a way that they could identify themselves besides the tattoos were the areas that were exposed. So if this person is exposing their rights, which is their right leg, then most likely they're probably people, because people would protect the left and expose the right. And you could also see it in how they would stand with their arms folded. They would People Nation would make any effort to protect the left side. So that would be like the Latin Kings, real original Chicago-based gangs are the real true ones that rock the People and the Folk Nation. So Folk Nation would be your disciples, your GDs, your Latin disciples, your MLDs. And what they would do is they would favor the right. So if you saw somebody with their left pants leg exposed, most likely that was people. Most likely that was folk, because they're exposing the left side. If it was the right side that was exposed, it could be, again, people. But again, I'm assuming this person, I may not know exactly what gang they are, but I would assume they affiliate with people, maybe associated with the number 5, because that would also be a People Nation thing. The disciple or the Folk Nation thing would be 6. And each point would stand for something. So like the 5-pointed star would be, let's say, for love, honor, obedience, righteousness, and sacrifice. Maybe the 5 points of the star, depending on if you're the Chicago culture, the New York culture, or if you're, the funny thing is with the Folk Nation, the Star of David is always the same 6 points: love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. It's the Star of David, but in their case, it's for David Barksdale, one of the original founders, who was killed somewhere in the 70s. Maybe of a drug deal or something. I'm not specific on how he died, but I think it was a bunch of younger kids that took him out. But again, this, no matter what gang you're in, when you adopt the 6-pointed star, it has to stand for the triple L: love, life, loyalty, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. But for the people, you got to adopt the 5, but you can make the points, whatever you want those 5 points to be. So a little knowledge on that, if you will. All right, so it's got to be hard watching body language and potential threats from behind a screen, as some officers have to do. So you want to start with that, Russ?
Yeah, first of all, I've been in too many control booths where, little tiny cameras and, you're trying to unlock things and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of, just doing every bit of your security through those cameras, through those lenses and stuff, because it's too easy to miss stuff. It's too easy to get distracted. So, and then picking up on things is much harder, especially if it's in black and white and it's too small to see. I like doing my correctional policing in person, watching the things they're doing, hearing the inflections of their voice, picking up on the little nuances. And more than that, this is one thing that I've really learned over the years, is the group dynamics of body language are a big indicator to me. That's one of the ways. It wasn't so much what one inmate was doing, but it was what 5 inmates were doing that would allow me to find weapons all the time. And I mean all the time based on that. So, I don't like the screens at all. Not a big fan. Some people are better at reading through those screens than others, but that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and guys, Eric made a good point too. Some gangs will also maybe do it based on the coast. I'm representing the West Coast, but then again, it's used differently. I believe, if I'm correct, the rising up would be what it represents, where for the people in folk, the rising up is to highlight the vulnerability, to expose. So it's a little different. Like if you notice too, guys, real quick, little side talking here, the graffiti matters too. In California, you find that a lot of the graffiti is more about crossing out and disrespecting, where in Chicago, it's about inverting symbols. So like if I'm a pyramid, I'll flip it upside down. Or, if the pyramid represents my group, let's say the pyramid of Black Peace Stone would be a 21 brick pyramid. Usually GDs, to show disrespect to them, would flip the pyramid over or turn the number 5 over or whatever it is, where on the West Coast, they just cross out the marks. So like I'll give you an example. If I'm a little complicated here, but just give a quick example. Let's say I'm rolling 20 bloods. There's a rolling 20 bloods out there, neighborhood rolling 20s, right? They call them the Dub Gang, right? So what I would do if I wrote it out is I may cross out the O, because that represents the rolling Crips. So like rolling 60s, rolling 30s, whatever it is. If the funny thing is, if the Crips saw it, they would probably cross out all the B's easily. And also the number 2, because the number 2, the second letter of the alphabet is B. So again, you can tell. Now, if you're in an area where you have a lot of disrespect going back and forth, that area is probably in war. So if you're like in California, and all of a sudden you had like, maybe a pure tag one day, and a couple of days later you have a back and forth going on, just stay very careful in those areas, guys. And you also notice in markers too, not that inmates do this a lot now, but the markers coming in. You can tell sometimes people put the disrespect, like as we said, 6 popping, 5 dropping, whatever it is, in regards to the people versus folk or folk versus people. All right, so let me do one more prison video, and then we will do the cop video, because there is one more showing. It's one of the ones that you sent to me.
Okay.
And you're right, King Tone has his own. Yeah, he did his time in prison, and now you don't hear much from him anymore. So let's do one more. Hold on one second. Let me get it in. I want to do this one. No, not that one. Hold on. I think it's this one. I'm looking for the one you sent me with this one right here. I got it.
Okay.
I got it. This is a good one, guys. Let me just, can you guys see it? Hold on, it's buffering. So I want to show you it one more time, guys. and then we'll break it down. So how about this? Oh, there we go. So you want to break it down, Sean?
Yeah, sure. So we got him slightly bladed away. We got that torso. We talk about the blade. I'll get into blading once I get into the pin pulls, the other videos. We got that one shoulder, like the videos that you showed, the first one. That one shoulder is going back. It takes, the reason we see this so much is because most people aren't doing uppercuts like this usually, and people aren't punching people straight up. So you got that shoulder coming back. If I've already got someone that's ripping something apart, there's a good chance there's going to be a problem. And it's hard to see here, but if you look real close at this video, if you have it up, you'll see the flaring of the nostrils. Before people do something physical, very often the nostrils will flare, oxygenating themselves before they do that physical activity.
And guys, by the way, if you notice here, up on top is Axon Body. So that's the name of the company that does the body cams. I want you guys to know. So I'm familiar with that equipment. The first minute 30, there'll be no sound. Again, that's before you click, and usually it's connected to your, you're supposed to click it in the moment there's a code, but you got to be careful because it records about 30 seconds prior, or maybe a minute and a half prior. I think it's a minute and a half prior, same as the having no sound. And so you'll see that these videos won't have sound for the first minute and 30, and then eventually the sound kicks in. Usually the sound kicks in when they actually push the button. So when you're reviewing these cameras, sometimes you catch people in the bathroom and a bunch of stuff because, again, they don't know, when the code's going to happen. So the camera itself stores footage a minute and 30 backwards. And again, that's why there's no sound the first minute 30. Hey, Russ, what's your thoughts on that video?
Okay, yeah, when you see something like this going down, and you've got a person acting violently, albeit against an inanimate object, it's time to check what exactly it is that you're doing at that moment in time. In this case, what it appears to me that she's doing is she's getting suckered into protecting evidence rather than trying to deal with the situation. We should always be trying to deal with the situation first and preservation of evidence second. I don't know. I'm guessing that's a laptop that they found in his possession, and he's trying to destroy it. So when she goes in and tries to make the grab, she's preserving evidence rather than dealing with the situation. So don't get suckered into that. What's in his hand at that moment could be a weapon, but more importantly, we don't want to get too close. That's the point at which we want to do other things. We want to deploy pepper spray or a taser or quickly get in there with a couple of us and actually go hands-on, but not to try and preserve the evidence. So that's my part of what I see in there.
Yeah, and I like what Alicia says. Most people are right-handed, so that's the side that will most likely be drawn back before the punch. And see, there's a very educated audience here because we did a video on this a while ago, or I showed them the video with Michael Wolford and them. Hey, guys, I also want to mention something, too. I was always taught, obviously, when you're going after contraband, you have to be very careful. But what I was always taught is don't go for the contraband, go for the person first. You're going for the contraband. The problem is then the person's coming at you. So do you agree? You think that they should have went for the person first and then try to go for the contraband? Because I think when you're going for the contraband, your hands are on the contraband, and now that opens up the attack from the inmate, which I'll go with Sean first and then Russ.
Yeah, that makes 100% sense. And I don't know why I was never taught that in the academy or anywhere. That's something that should be standard. There's a lot of things. That's something that should be 100%. That makes sense to me.
Oh, I just saw that just now. So you never taught that, Sean?
I was never taught go for the if someone has something on them. I was never taught go for that person first. I was taught no. If someone's holding, I was never taught go for. No, you'd be like, hey, let me go for the person. I was taught a lot of things, and they were all on the street by supervisor that taught me decent things. Hey, cuff first, search after, things like that. But I was never taught if someone had something on them. Usually you're going to grab the stuff. And I was never, just to have that in your head, that's a great thing.
I'm going to be honest with you. I made up my connection to that in case it was a bad idea so I could forward it over to someone else. But I'm going to take credit for that one because that was mine. Because I look at the person going for the computer, I'm thinking like, I'd rather just go after the person first. But I didn't know if I was right or wrong. And because I host this show, I got to add some validity. So I made up a part of that story just in case, like if Sean said, yo, that is a stupid idea. I was like, you know what? That's what he taught me. But it turns out that's not a stupid idea. I would like to mention that I'm going to take onus on that one.
That's good.
Oh, this is good. I learned. All right, cool. Hey, Russ, what was your thoughts on that too? Do you agree?
So this really comes into play when I talk about, trying to preserve the evidence and not getting suckered in. If you see someone out there and, they've got that rock or something in their hand and they go to their mouth and, you make a move just to try and knock it out of their hand. At that point, you put yourself in a disadvantageous position because now you've put the first little strike in there and they can come back and counter. So if you're going to put them in cuffs forcefully or do something like that, you need to do that at that moment in time, not try and knock the contraband out of their hand, not try and keep the dope out of their mouth, but rather deal with the tactical situation that presents a threat at that moment. That little bit of methamphetamine or crack rock or something like that, it shouldn't enter into the calculus of what you're doing. You're dealing with a dangerous individual and you don't know what they're going to do at that point. So preservation of that evidence, it's nice, right? I remember one time I was wrapped up with a guy and I was trying to drag him backwards towards the toilet because it was swirling and going down. And I realized in hindsight, in retrospect, although it's a great story and I love to tell it, that me reaching in and pulling it, as it was swirling the last time around was a bad tactical mistake. What if he'd been able to get the better of me because I was involved in that? At that moment in time, it seemed like the right thing to do, but we can't protect evidence before we protect ourselves.
Hey guys, and I want to mention something because Light Morning said something that's spot on. Usually when someone says, I'm going to be honest with you, again, in the interview and interrogation world, in statement analysis, it makes you wonder what they said beforehand, but it should be really about what they're about ready to say. It's like, okay, let me be honest. It's like, well, were you honest before? No, they're probably going to shift their story a little bit. So, that's very insightful there. And I just want to say bravo. Who was that again? That was Liking, whatever it is. You're 100% correct. I started off with a lie of that already, and then kind of just, because you never know, guys. What about if I'm wrong? I don't have insurance if I'm wrong. I'm not covered. So if I'm
do we know the backstory on this video at all?
No, you know what? I could do the research.
I'm curious because his body language to me says this is something you found of mine, and I've had lots of inmates destroy cell phones in front of me, and I mean it always turns into a brawl or something like that. But in this case, I feel like that laptop belongs to him, and he's trying to get rid of the evidence because we've used telephones before in cases, for people smuggling in dope and everything else. So I was just curious if that is indeed his laptop.
Well,
okay.
No, I'm sorry. Someone did mention when I was in a class, they shouted out and they said, I believe that's Hillary Clinton's IT guy. So I don't know.
Well, it's a federal prison up in New York. It's not Chicago. Damn. Yeah.
Where's his hammers for the discs?
Yeah.
Yeah, and guys, I want to mention something on this too, just so I know it's obvious, but let me just say something real quick. That's a female officer. So these inmates, if it's, they could be dangerous and impulsive at any moment. The biggest thing is that they're all compliant until they don't want to be. And then that's where it becomes a big threat. And you never know what that issue is going to be. You never know what it is that they're going to protect at that moment. You may come in thinking that it's something that's an easy thing, and all of a sudden it's not. So be wary of even the smallest things that they're not supposed to have, because at any point, it's about how bad do they want what they're not supposed to have. Not so much the item in their hands, but how bad do they want that item in their hands. It amazes me the number of people who say honestly, or as you said, I'm going to be honest with you. It seems more often. It's true, guys. I mean, listen, I'm going to tell you something right now. All because you know the rules doesn't mean that you're always going to apply them, because again, a lot of these stuff, the human behavior, the stuff that you say, a lot of this runs on automatic. So we're all guilty of it, all because you may know how body language works. And here's the funny thing. It may even be worse for people that are aware of it, because they're going to spend more time trying to cover it up because they're going to catch themselves. I know, like, if someone asks me a question I don't like, I'll lean back and kind of protect my vitals and just, be a little, but then I realize, oh, wait a second. So now I start to shift. Now they're like, oh, he's nervous about this. So you wind up actually giving out more signs the more you know. I think at least should be in everyone. I'm leaving. Oh, okay. Good night, Doodle. But don't forget, catch the replay. All right, guys. So I want to show a police video now. This is going to be interesting. This falls into Sean's area of expertise, but maybe me and Russ would like to see if we could provide some. So what I want to do first is I want to go to the body camera footage released in a fatal police shooting. So guys, this is going to be a fatal police shooting. So if you're a little sensitive, I just want to give you guys the heads up right now. This is going to be a fatality. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the video. I believe the video is about 3 minutes or about 3 minutes, 2.5 minutes. And then we're going to break down the video. And I think it was a great observation though, is I'm going to be honest with you, a baseline for Anthony. Probably, damn you. That's Jill from Fiber Fuzzy Crash. That's a good question. Good. I'm telling you, man, this audience is smart. They're smart. Now they got me nervous. Now I got to be careful every time I say, I'll be honest with you. All right, hold on, guys. Here. Hold on. All right. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right. Hold on. Let me enlarge it.
I do. I'm actually in school. Listen to me. The principal is not asking. Listen to me. Get a hand up. Get a hand up. Go! Go! You're under arrest. Let go. You are under arrest. Let go of me. You are under arrest. Let go of me. Go 3
Hey, can you explain the video, Sean, to us?
Yeah, so this guy was responding. He looks like a middle school student or a high school student. He's actually at a middle school. He's got the backpack on for a custody dispute. The cops get called because he shows up. I guess he's got a kid in the school. They show up there talking to him, and that's why the cops are there. Now, do you want me to get into the behaviors?
Oh, yeah, definitely. But before you go, a couple of questions just real quick from the audience. They couldn't tell who was shot.
I'd have to read the script. If you go on YouTube, it'll bring up. I believe it was him, but I don't want to assume.
Okay, I'll do my research while you explain the. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and play the video, but I'm going to mute it. Now, guys, if you notice when they switch cameras, the second camera didn't have sound right away because that's when the officer may have turned it on. So it's going to backtrack a minute 30 prior. So the officer turned it on probably during the incident at some time and not, he probably responded first and then was like, oh, shit, I got to get the camera on. Usually that's the case. Sometimes, guys, and it's sad because the public doesn't realize this. Something like, well, why wasn't the camera turned on? Well, the camera has to be turned on by us. But I'll be honest with you. If we have a brother or sister that needs our help, we're not thinking about turning on the camera right away. We're thinking about running to go help. So what that person did was they ran and went to help. And when there was a chance, they quickly turned on the camera. So, okay, so let me play the video in the background here. I'm going to mute the sound because I want you to be able to talk over it, Sean. So let me do that. And this is the one in Eugene, Oregon?
Yes.
All right, so give me a second. I'll do some research on it real quick while you explain it. All right, so I'm going to mute it, and it's up.
All right, so if you see what he's doing what's known as blading. One of the 5 pinholes I talk about. There's 3 different types of blading. You've got your basic, your slight, your prominent, and your enhanced. What he's doing here is an enhanced blade. His body's got the twist of the body away. 1 foot's back a little bit. His body is off to the side, away from not just one officer, but 2. His other hand is doing what's known as illustrating speech, while another hand is in the pocket. And we talked, Alicia brought up before, most of the general public is right-handed. So most often you watch this occur time and time again. Whenever someone attacks a cop or someone on the street or in a street fight, they will blade to the right. However, doesn't mean we still got 10% of the population that is left-handed. The blade could be to the left. We see this guy has his hand in his pocket. Could be a jacket pocket, could be a hooded sweatshirt pocket, it could be a pants pocket. Could be protecting over the weapon, or it could be holding the weapon. If I see this and someone's moving their hand in speech and I move around them and they continue to blade, the hairs on the back of your neck should stand up to high hell. If you are in law enforcement, if you are a CO, a cop on the street, you better call some other people, get somebody else over there, maybe take cover, give commands if you're on the street, if you believe it might be a firearm. It's something to think about, because in law enforcement, most of the time, what are you going to say? Hey, let me see your hands. Take your hand out of your pocket. Well, hey, boom, boom. And you see this time and time again with body cams. Now, if you're on the street and you are a member of the general public and someone comes up to you like this, I'd be pretty weary. Think about how you're going to handle yourself. I don't give any advice on that. Russ, you would probably be better as far as how to deal with it. I always say, listen, just have a plan. Have a plan how you're going to deal with enhanced blading. There's 2 other types of blade, but whenever you want to go into that, we'll go into that a little bit.
Well, wait, I got the update that they wanted.
Okay.
And I want to go with Russ, but let me just give them the update here. So, guys, let me share you this screen real quick. I found the article. It is right here. So it says here, parent fired twice at police before being killed. So police have released officer body camera footage from a fatal shooting at a Eugene Middle School earlier this month. Charles Frederick Landeros, 30, was shot and killed by police after pulling out a gun and firing twice at an officer following a custodial dispute at Cascade Middle School. That's happened in 2019, I believe. Lane County District Attorney Patty Perlow ruled that the officers were justified in their use of deadly force. The school was placed on lockout for most of the day. All students, staff, and officers are unharmed. Now, this is what happened. According to the district attorney office, Landeros' daughter was enrolled in Cascade Middle School the week of the shooting without her mother's knowledge. The mother, who shares custody of their daughter, had exclusive control over where the girl attended school. On the day of the shooting, the girl's mother went to the school to find out if her daughter was enrolled there. School personnel contacted Landeros, who also went to the school. The struggle that led to the shooting began when Landeros refused school resource officers' demands to exit by the school. By coincidence, the daughter arrived in the hallway, and Landeros yelled at her to go repeatedly, the district attorney office said. Police removed Landeros from the building and attempted an arrest for disorderly conduct and trespassing. During the struggle, police and witnesses said Landeros drew a gun first and fired shots. The district attorney office said one of the officers then fired 2 shots, which killed Landeros. The magazine in Landeros' gun had a device that expanded its capacity to 20 rounds from 18, not including a chamber round, according to the DA's office. A second magazine was on gun belt and a backpack. Landeros was wearing had more ammunition, but a different caliber. You know, to be honest with you, with all that stuff, sounds like he was going to take her on the run. To be honest with you, it looks like he was planning on, taking her far away from mom and be prepared for a shootout. I mean, this guy went in there, motivated to get his daughter, and the police were just an obstacle to that. Hey, Russ, what's your thoughts on that video?
So, the thing that really struck me is at the very beginning, where Sean talked about, he's illustrating speech. The way that I would put that and the way that I saw it is that he's misdirecting me away from what his other hand is doing at that point. That's to me the point where there's really a lot of danger. Why he didn't pull it out at that moment, I'm not sure, but it seems to me like he's trying to get them to focus on something else. Then as he begins to walk away, he starts to look for permission from that officer to do it. And that's when he realizes he's in trouble. So I think he was going to wait till the last possible second before he, brandished the firearm, because I think he was probably chicken at that point. And once they were going to take him into custody, then it was all bets are off.
Yeah, guys, this happened in Eugene, Oregon. Hey, Sean, real quick, can I get the name of your book again? And I'll definitely put a link in the description, but I know you can get your book on Amazon. But what's the exact title? Because people are asking.
I happen to have one right here and about 20 others. So, yeah. Beware the Body. You go on Amazon. It's also on.
I was going to ask you, if they order directly from you, do you give signed copies?
I don't even ship. No, I don't. I mean, if they run into me and see me somewhere, they got my schedule all over the country. You go on Street Cop, I'd be happy to sign one.
Well,
I don't have a direct order.
I want to get a solo screen of that. So hold on one second. Don't let me get you up. Let me just get rid of this one.
I don't know which side do I go on?
No, it doesn't matter. I'll just show you up now. Can you show it up,
Your
guys?
good side.
That's his book, Beware the Bodies by Sean Grogan. It's available on Amazon. So if you guys want to get a chance, I believe Alicia read it. Alicia, if you don't mind, Alicia, can you give me a few little comments about the book? So the audience could see, because I know Alicia read it already. And she got it on Kindle too. She got it on Kindle. Yeah, that's right. She did get it on Kindle. You're right. Okay, let me get us back. So I have another video I want to show. It's another police shooting. This one's about 7 minutes long. This one is very interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Which one is it?
It's the one you sent me. The body cam shows Tulsa police.
Yeah, after he gets shot, you can cut it. There's
so
like 6 minutes. You just be like, okay, what are we waiting for?
Do you want to give us the backdrop on this one at all? Do you know this one?
This guy shows up to change a tire. For something's going on there. I don't know if he's got a warrant they know about, or if they're looking for the guy. He comes back on a bike with a tire iron, and you'll see what happens next. I'll explain the blading he's doing afterwards. One thing I do want to mention that I forgot to bring up before with the one hand illustrating speech or pacifying themselves is because most people, especially if they're illustrating speech, we talk with both hands. Unless you have a disability or something, most people are going to talk with two hands. So that one hand being in a pocket, whoa, huge red flag. And obviously we can't just punch someone in the face when they're doing this, because they could be holding their keys in their pocket. They're afraid of losing.
Right now, this is a fatal shooting, correct?
You got it should say in the bottom. The thing is, I've got so many videos, I forget who was killed. I never want to say, yeah, he was killed and he wasn't killed.
Yeah, I think it is. I'm looking at the article now. Let me see. Let me just make sure this is the right one. I believe it is. The Tulsa Police Department still investigating deadly officer involved shooting happened near Pine and Horn. Okay, so let's show the video and then I'll go back to the articles. It'll be quick. So let me show the video, guys. I don't want to keep them waiting. All right, so bear with me, guys. I'm going to show you the video real quick. This is an interesting video. All right, here we go. And we're going to do this video here. All right.
What's his name? Lewis? Okay, we'll go with Lewis. You Lewis? Are you Lewis? Well, it looks like you're here to work on that vehicle that's broke down. Yeah. Could you step off the bike real quick and put that on the ground for me? Just step off the bike. I need to talk to you. Yep, there you go. Just set all that on the ground. Yeah, just set it on the ground. Hey, don't reach. Hey. Go! Shots fired! Try to 2 or 3 shots fired! Could you step off the bike real quick and put that on the ground for me? Just step off the bike.
Let me just.
I need to talk to you. Yep, there you go. Just set all that on the ground. Yeah, just set it on the ground. Hey, don't reach. Hey. Go!
All right, let me read this to you because I found the article. I just want to give guys a little backdrop here, if you guys don't mind. I do have the article here. So let me read a little bit about it. I have it right here. So the Tulsa Police Department is still investigating a deadly officer involved shooting. Now, this happened again in 2019. It happened near Pine and Harvard Sunday afternoon, October 27th. Police said an officer in training pulled over to help a woman who was having car trouble, who was stuck on Pine. She told police her ex-boyfriend would be there soon to help her. Officers say things escalated when Louis Aragon Lara arrived on his bike. Police asked him to get off his bicycle and set down the tire iron he was holding. According to police, the 50-year-old Araguain Lara turned his body and reached for his gun. You can hear the officer yelling at him, "Do not do that." I mean, they're yelling at him not to do that. He chose to pull out the firearm, and unfortunately, officers were faced with making a very difficult decision. Officials said 3 officers shot at Aragon Lara, hitting him several times. Sergeant St. Tuel said the officers still don't know if Aragon Lara fired a shot or not. And then they go into the speech. Okay, so let me get back to where we were. All right, so that's a pretty interesting video. So I'm going to go with Sean again first, and then we'll go with Russ. But I just want to mention, people ordered your book. This one young lady thought the book would be great for her son, who's an EMT.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Because as an EMT, you're dealing with the general public at the same level that police are.
Right now let's just to brief. So I'm going to play the video again in the background. I'll keep it muted, and if you want to break down, what we got, what's happening here, I'll do that real quick. Let me just I'm going to mute the video, guys, but I'm going to have Sean talk through it. All right, Sean.
All right, so I brought up before that we went over enhanced blading. This is what's known as a prominent blade. A slight blade would just be the one shoulder back, 1 foot back, the torso going a little bit. This prominent blade is pretty much giving that whole shoulder. The person's perpendicular to you. During that prominent blade, he starts gaining proxemic distance, starts backing away from them, and you can also see his hand is out of view. The one arm goes in, could be helping to lift the shirt here. You'll see very often when people are reaching for weapons, they will go like this or like this in front of the vital organs, protecting that area. You also see that hand you can't see, but you see on the one side, you're going to have that right elbow, leading you to believe if you see a right angle with that elbow popping out on the side we're about to see in a second, there's a good chance his hand is at his waistline. Getting in the proxemic distance, we got that one elbow pop out on that one side.
Now, guys, just so you know, this all happens in a split second. So for people on the news, I just want to let people know, let me just stop this for a second. This is a live or die moment, and the guy did have a gun on him, but even if he didn't have a gun, you got to realize something. The orders that the officer is giving is to protect the life of both parties, not just the officer, but also the individual. He's giving the individual concise orders so you don't appear to be a threat, because at any moment, you don't know if that person's a threat or not. So if you listen to me and you show that you're compliant, then, we start to say, okay, we should be good to move forward. This person has not identified himself, we have not established who he was. He's not listening to orders. And at that point, any move that goes against the officer's orders is a threat. Because again, look at this. He moved, but where was the gun? The gun was out of sight. So what do? We wait for us to see the gun? You can't. By the time you see the gun, you're dead. That's where the conflict is. The conflict really is well, you got to wait to see the gun. You can't. If you wait to see the gun, you are dead. It's too late. The gun's already pointed at you. He's already pulling the trigger. And by the way, guys, I want you also to realize something. They did a test one, like the 21-foot rule. Yes, we are trained to shoot the chest because we're trained to stop, not kill. We're trained to stop. And the biggest area is the chest because, again, you're in charge of every bullet that is passed or doesn't hit the target. So you are trained to hit the chest. But by the way, guys, when before we go to shoot, sometimes there's hesitancy as well because we don't want to take a life. But at one point, you have no choice. So I guarantee you, usually when someone pulls that trigger, you have to ask that person and not make an assumption subjectively, why was that person a threat to you? And you have to allow them to answer because sometimes we may not see the threat, but we don't see it through that person's eyes. A threat to me may not be a threat to somebody else. So you have to give that person a chance to speak. And then you have to kind of figure out if what they're saying makes sense. And at that point, was it a good judgment or a bad call? Hey, Russ, what's your thoughts on what you saw?
Yeah, so I just tried to go with my initial impression that I saw the first time through. And to me, I think he was trying to gain a tactical advantage by not bringing the gun into view until the last possible second. So I think Sean called it prominent blading. To me, like in my mind, it was like concealment blading, because he's trying to wait till the last possible second to expose that firearm, because he thinks, and maybe right, maybe wrong, that he's going to create doubt. You create doubt in the mind of the officer in order to gain a tactical advantage over them. So that's what I saw from that position. And a lot of people don't understand that officers in this position, they have to bring that gun into play. You can't do something like shoot at extremities, because extremities don't stop people from anything. You have to have center mass hits. For two reasons. Number one, you increase hit probability, and number two, you increase stop probability. So that's why things happen the way they do. And a lot of times, people second guess, and they just don't understand how hard it is to put bullets even on paper, let alone on real flesh in a real situation.
Yeah, guys, I want to clear something. When I said they're in charge of every bullet, they're responsible. So if they miss the target, and let's say it hits a child or something, you are responsible for that missed target. And real quick, there's a few questions coming here. Tara says, I'm such an indecisive person. I wouldn't be a good cop. Always second guessing my. Yeah, but can I tell you something real quick? I think when you're in the academy, they try to build up on, we're all going to be hesitant. Trust and believe. We don't want to take a life. This really comes to that natural instinct to survive. So what you have to do is you can't let people mess with your natural instinct to survive. And the academy is going to teach you that. They're going to make sure that you don't freeze, that you respond. But I'm not going to say it's okay to be hesitant. It's just remember the moment. Sometimes it's okay to be a little bit more hesitant, because some people do jump the gun way before it's needed. So that could be a good tool. But again, when your life is on the line and that person is not being compliant, then you're right. Hesitancy could be a concern, but sometimes hesitancy could be a tool because you don't want a cop going on the scene that's already paranoid. That could be a problem, because then they just shoot without any justification. And we already seen that happen many times as well. I just think in this case here, the person's not listening. Number one, the weapon's out of view, or whatever the guy's hand is, that hand is out of view. That's number two. And I'm sorry now, any subtle move forward, that's going to be considered a threat. So I believe if the officer didn't shoot, the officer would have easily been taken out 100%. Again, you cannot wait to see the gun. At that point, I know the public may think that you can wait. Well, you got to make sure it's a gun first. You can't wait for that. Right. By the time you see the gun, you see the bullet. So let me, there's what I want to do, guys, now is there's a lot of, I want to have questions now. So we'll have questions, but there's some good discussion here that we're going to aid. Alicia started off with something, but I also want to do the 5 pin pulls first. But Alicia's been reading your book, and she has a certain area that she wants to discuss with you. But in the meantime, can we go over the 5 pin pulls? And guys, this is question and answer time. So keep those questions coming, because I'm going to kind of speed them over to Russ and Sean to answer them. But can we do the 5? Can you explain exactly what 5 pin pulls mean?
Sure. If I take a grenade, this isn't a real grenade, so don't get concerned. I don't fly with this thing, but if I'm driving, I'll bring it during courses. If I take a grenade and I pull the pin out and I continue to hold the grenade like this and I hold the safety lever, what happens? Nothing. But what are we very close to having happen? A fucking explosion. Now, can I put the pin back in? 100%, and nothing happens. These pin pulls are pre-attack and pre-threat indicators. Some are only pre-attack indicators. Other can also be pre-flight indicators. Blading. We went over the blading, the 3 types of blading. We went over the shoulder dropping back rapidly, being another one. The other 3 we haven't gone over is taking a charging or running stance, dropping the body weight down. This happens when someone's about to close proxemic distance on you. They could run at you, or they could walk very fast and strut towards you. Don't stand there. Don't say, why is this person body drop? As soon as you see that body drop, prepare yourself. the person's very likely to come towards you. Maybe they won't. Again, we could put the pin back in. We're not going to be, if you're in law enforcement, start freaking it, go over and tackle the person. However, I'm going to prepare myself. I'm not going to start firing rounds. If I'm a civilian and I'm in a certain area, I'm going to prepare myself that something could go wrong. The other one being looking over the shoulder. Sometimes you'll get it looking down as a pre-flight indicator. It's looking over the shoulder. Boom, someone takes off. But if you're a member of the general public, it's really sad if you're that fucking boring where people look over to see if they can run away from you. However, it's something you shouldn't be worried. That's a joke. You guys can laugh. But for the most part, if you've got someone looking over their shoulder, it could be that they're going to attack you. The great apes do this as well before they go and fight each other. They will look over and move in. It could be they're already standing in front of you. Guess what? It's a deceptive movement. If you're standing there, oh, this person's not even looking at me. They're not going to hurt me. They've looked away. They don't want you to see it coming. They don't want to be like, that's it. I'm going to punch. Look away for a second. Boom. Boom. I pulled out my knife for shank. I'm coming towards you. It could also be looking down, but you see most often over the shoulder. Last one I want to bring up is a pants lift. Cops do this as well. If they get called for the club that's got 50 people fighting, cops meet up. They get ready to go. They got their duty belts. They lift it up. You're like, oh, let me go. I'm sure COs do the same thing. You lift that up. The thing's secure. It doesn't need to go up. However, pants do fall sometimes. So yes, there are people that are lifting their pants. But if someone approaches you in public that you don't know, starts talking to you, lifts up their pants, and when you combine the pin pulls, you see more one together, that should be, whoa, huge red flag. This person might want to harm me. That lifting of the pants is something you see constantly before fighting and attacking. There are videos out there of street fights. Both people lift the pants up before they go. Pants are falling down, but they're preparing themselves because sometimes things get pulled down prior to fighting. Good friend of mine is a CO in one of the counties here in New Jersey. And he was telling me recently they had an incident, an altercation. I won't give him the detail. But right prior, he goes, dude, I watched the body cams. Pants lift 3 fucking times. He goes, it's one of those things. If you're a CO and you see this or you're on the street, why is someone lifting their pants up? I'm going to take note of that. Again, people's pants could be falling. I'm not going to tackle someone because they lift their pants up, but I'm going to be on high alert and prepare myself that this person might want to hurt me.
Hey, Sean, I want to send you this question from Alicia real quick. Can you share why a hand on the waistband needs to get your attention? This isn't a common knowledge in the civilian community. And then we'll have us comment as well.
Okay. Yeah. So a waistband is where people carry weapons.
Let me zoom in. Hold on. Let me bring you in. Go ahead.
People carry weapons, right? Here, I've got a little 380. Look how small this thing is. You barely see it. People keep things around their waistline. Do people keep stuff on in ankle holsters? Yes. But your pockets in a waistline and shoved into the waistline area is where people very often keep weapons. You could also have a hanging of a chain. You could hang a little 380 on there, a knife, a shank. However, the waistline is a very prominent area where people are keeping these weapons. So if someone's putting their hand to the waistline, I'm not going to assume every situation's different. Things have to be taken into context. When you got a gentleman on a bicycle several meters away from you backing up, prominent blading going to the waistline, at that point, I'm not going to assume they're reaching for my wallet to wave their ID in front of me from long distance. It's something we really have to be concerned with in law enforcement.
Russ, you want to comment on that too in corrections?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? Out in the community and stuff, I spot people, carrying all the time. Most of them are other cops because they have that look about them. But what tends to happen with the waistline is first of all, you have the weight of that weapon that's constantly over the day, pulling the pants down a little bit, maybe pulling the belt out of alignment. And so what happens is people tend to try and shift things back into proportion. The other thing that people try and do is they try and keep things from printing through their shirt. And by printing, if you're not familiar with the term, what happens is the weapon touches the shirt and it moves it at an angle where you can go, I see someone's got something there. That could be a cell phone. It could be the little 380 like Sean has right there. But anyway, it's an indicator and it's a tell. The other reason why, and I don't know, regular citizens do this too, and so do gangbangers and stuff like that. But a lot of cops are trained on retention techniques that almost always at least, originate from the waist. And so what are they doing is they're putting their hands into positions where they're good to go as far as retention if they start to get into a position where they're subconsciously thinking about it. So all of those things are giveaways. And one fun thing for me is, like I say, I love spotting people that think that, you know, you can't spot their concealment on them, but it can be done.
Yeah. Now, Alicia had a really good question. I'm trying to find it. Alicia, do me a oh, I got it. I got it. Hey, Sean. Sean referenced being ready for an altercation as an anti-victim chapter. Example: ladies' heels or sandals can be a problem. So let's talk about that chapter real quick. So I'm still waiting for Sean to send me the book. Fair enough.
You hadn't asked me yet. Yeah, you give me the address, I'll send it. You give me the address.
To be honest with you, I did ask. Let me be honest for a second here. I did ask you for the book. No, you get it, Sean? I'm lying. Because I started with.
Oh, yeah. I'm like, no, dude, you didn't ask.
I would love to, if you don't mind. You know, that would be great. I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
All right. So my address is
yeah.
Let's wait on that one. Hey, so I didn't get a chance to read the book. I know Alicia read it right away and loved it right from the get-go. But she did mention something about the anti-victim chapter. So what exactly is that chapter, and what's some advice to not be a victim?
They've done studies. It was a high crime area in New York City. They brought stuff to convicts who attacked strangers in the street, violent attacks. And they filmed these people walking around this high crime area, had the movements choreographed, and had prisoners go look at these people and rate on a scale how likely they'd be to attack that person. And they found certain movements, the way people walk, they're more likely to become a victim. If you walk with one foot and one hand at one time, another foot, another hand at the same time, it's a lot of movements that make you stand out from the general public. The shifting of the weight, a wobbling, as opposed to more of a figure eight movement. And listen, people have disabilities, and it's not something I'm saying, oh, you know, they're more likely to attack. It's something that they've done the studies for, and it's a shame. These people look for people that are moving differently from other people, very similar to the way a wolf is going to look for a buffalo, or another predator is going to look for an antelope that is not moving like the rest of the herd. So they go after that. On top of that, she brought up the high heels. The high heels, why are you going to wear high heels in a high crime area, or sandals when you're going to some bar down at the beach that you're like, yeah, there's always fights here. You're going to wear sandals in there? You want to fight? Unless you're some crazy kung fu master used to fighting without your shoes on. I'm going to want shoes when I'm fighting personally. On top of that, I go into, you know, there's a saying, a Colombian saying, that no dar papaya, which is not, literally translation is don't give papaya, but it means not to show things in public. Don't go out into an area and flash all your jewelry. Give people a reason to take stuff from you. Oh, here, I got a very expensive iPhone and I'm in a second world country. Let me show everybody what I have. I'm putting my nice jewelry on while I go to one of the most high crime cities in the country. Let me go there because this is nice. I can do whatever. Let me take it's pretty much common sense, but we don't. Also, if you're walking to a store, are you going to carry, oh man, I got to return these 10 shoes. Maybe I put them all in a bag as opposed to carrying things where I can't even see over. You are asking to be a victim. You're saying, look at me. I'm not aware of my surroundings. That's another part of it. Looking around, being confident, aware, and ready, having your hands out of your pockets. You know, in the Marines, they trained us to keep our hands out. You weren't ever allowed to put your hands in your pockets. Why? Because you want to look ready. If I got my hands in my pockets and I'm strolling through and I'm looking down at my cell phone with the other hand, one hand's in the pocket, well, guess what? I'm pretty much asking to get sucker punched and my stuff taken.
Hey guys, just want to say a couple of things. First, before we get to Russ, I apologize. One thing, Russ, I apologize. So everything you're saying, Patty mentions that, you know, she has a walker, you know, and she's like, damn, like she's extra vulnerable. And guys, I want to mention something. So Miss Kelly said she's going to pick up your book this month. And also, this has been a problem, and I want to just put it out there. YouTube be playing games with me, guys. So check this out real quick. I usually don't like doing this, but I see someone mentioning it. Here's Sarah. She says, hi, Anthony, everyone. Late arrival, no notification. Now, mind you, YouTube, because it's a liberal platform, I want to show you guys something that's going to blow your mind. I'm going to show you guys something just to show you, because I want to show you guys something. Hold on. Let me just put it in the search engine. I'm going to put in the search engine inmate punches officer. All right, so let me just share screen. I want to show you guys something real quick. Where is it? I got to put the search through first. Hold on. Is it this one? Hold on a second, guys. Yeah, here it goes. Inmate punches officer, right? So I want to show you guys something real quick. Okay, so here we go. Let me share this screen. Look at this, guys. I put inmate punches officer, right? So the first one you get inmate sucker punches, right? And then you get body cam of correctional officer punching handcuffed inmate. And then you go officer angry inmate versus where is it? Inmate attacks nurse jail. We get some, but then it goes back to body cam shows correctional officer beat up inmate. Where is it? Well, last time the search was a little different then, because last time it was strictly. Maybe they're being a little bit more fair. Sorry, guys. But last time when I was showing it, search was a little bit different. When I was looking for videos to show, all it had was officers punching inmates, but they switched it. Well, either way, that kind of went backwards on me because I was looking for videos to show you guys, and it was quickly just I put inmate punches officer, and in the algorithm, all I got was officers punching inmates. But I guess somehow or another, it's not popping up. And guys, one last thing, the notification has been a problem. I think Joe Pompano doesn't get the notifications, and all I can say, guys, is that when you see I schedule a show, definitely hit that reminder. Or if you guys want to know anything, just email me, gangianthony@yahoo.com, and I'll let you guys know. Here's the funny thing. With the momentum we created was great. When I was in California and Atlantic City, I gained a few subscribers, but the channel just kind of just stuck. I don't know why it doesn't move. I keep on getting copyright claims, which make no sense because I get copyright claims on just videos that me and Russ do when it's just me and him. And by the way, you are allowed to use these videos, what's called fair use, because you can use videos to tell your story. So they'll make a copyright claim, and then they will go ahead and say, okay, it's just a claim, but we're going to limit who we show it to. So, I mean, it's just a bit of a game, but it doesn't matter, guys. The loyalty that's already here is what matters. I don't care if it's a person of one or a person of 100,000. The key is just to get the message across to the right people. Hey, Russ, what's your thoughts on what we were talking about? Sorry about that.
Yeah, I think Sean's going to love this. So, when we're talking about the way people are moving and we're talking about footwear and things like that, within the prison system, there's a whole culture about what inmates are supposed to wear on their feet at given times, which during the day is supposed to be proper footwear. You're not allowed to go from point A to point B with just, slippers on or thongs or sandals or anything like that. As a matter of fact, if you do move in that manner, whichever, gang, faction, ethnic breakdown you belong to, you're very likely to get punched, reprimanded, or completely removed from the unit for it. So that's one thing that these guys focus on a lot, is whether or not you are ready personally to be able to, deal with an attack, to mount a counterattack if that happens. One thing that we used to have every morning when we'd get ready to do our releases for breakfast was these guys start rattling their doors in case the guy up in the eye in the sky makes a mistake, and then people would already be in their boots and good footwear ready to rush out there and attack the other people. You can't do that when you're in sandals or Crocs or any of the other nonsense. So be advised, predators pay attention to what's going on. They're going to be wearing the right footwear. You should be too. And, my wife for years, why don't you kick your shoes off? How come you won't wear Crocs? And I'll tell you, it's from a lifetime of conditioning inside the prison where I took my cue from them. I was never not going to have my footwear on.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, so Miss Kelly too, not getting the notifications. Joe Pompano doesn't get the notifications. It doesn't make any sense, man. It just doesn't. I don't get it. So let me see. There are some questions coming in, guys. I just want to read a few. Hey, Sean, Eric asked the question. He goes, why does Sean have a pen clipped to his finger?
This pen?
Never mind. I guess he's probably playing a game.
Well, I must have probably been talking and I'm just fidgeting while I'm talking. There was no meaning behind it that I'm aware of.
All right, and then
He was hypnotizing all of us to buy his book.
hey, so Servo says that Tierto, Anthony Gangi, Sean, Russ too. Can you reference the New York study about the inmate study of most likely to attack? Do you know that, Sean?
Yeah, it's in the back of the book. The reference, I'll get you the exact, because I don't remember the name of the study offhand. Give me 1 second, I'll get it for you. It was a study done back in the 80s.
So, guys, so to let you know, while he's looking at that, Alicia did put the link in the comments. So if you guys are interested, you can click the link. Yeah, and guys, do make sure you hit the subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification. And as I said, next week I'm going to get Ann Salter on if you guys get a chance. Anna Salter, Salter. Her book is called Predators. It's a phenomenal read. It is a phenomenal read, but it's not for someone that's extremely sensitive because it's very detailed in sex crimes. But it's going to explain a lot as to why people do what they do. And when we have the dialogue, guys, she doesn't hold anything back. So you have to be ready for a very intense dialogue with Dr. Salter. She is really amazing. Yes, I can do that. I'm also going to put it in the description, Eric. Okay, so what do you got, Sean? I see you have it.
It's Betty Grayson. I'm going to put it, I don't know if I'm sending it. It says private chat. I don't know if it's going to everybody. But Betty Grayson, Grayson, and Morris, Morrisi, then Stein, Stein. And this study is called Attracting Assault Victims, Nonverbal Cues in the Journal of Communication.
And that I'm going to put your I'm also going to try to put your link in the comment as well, just so people can get the book. Because sometimes when I put the link in, it actually it may actually show. I ordered an Amazon finally. Okay, so people are getting the book, Sean.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, guys. So before we come to a close, guys, do we have any? Was checking earlier. Remember that you said that you were going to live tonight. Okay, so yeah, so some people had to check. Hey, oh, here it goes. Alicia put Betty Grayson and Morris I. Stein, Attracting Assault Victims, Nonverbal Cues, Journal of Communication, Volume 31. Look at her, man.
Excellent. Thank you.
Alicia's my people. Hey, I guess we'll do our closing remarks. And guys, I'll explain when it's my turn where we're going to be at the next couple of days, what type of shows we're going to cover. Do you have anything you'd like to say in closing? We'll do it Russ first, then Sean.
Absolutely. It's been a pleasure to be here and to have, Sean contribute to this because I think that, all of this body language stuff, it can be so fruitful for us in becoming, more effective officers and just learning the trade. And you got to start somewhere. And a guy like Sean can really shortcut you to being able to make great leaps and bounds instead of having to eke it out yourself over a couple of decades. And so, I wish that, I'd been able to sit down and talk to Sean 25 years ago, and I could have probably had double the number of weapons that I found at this point. But, I'll take anything I can get, and you can bet that I'm going to work Sean into conversations and into the way that I teach my own little part about how I do body language, which is just, using, just kind of plain Jane concepts that people can recognize. But I think that overall, this is going to help me, really inspire some people because this is a craft that I love, being able to, find weapons and cell phones and dope and everything else. Oh, my.
And guys, by the way, Eric's right, Memorial Day weekend. So yes, please honor those that gave their lives for the greater good. Thank you, Eric, for bringing that up. I really appreciate that. By the way, Matt Boy just bought your book. Hey, Sean, have anything in closing? I was wondering also maybe if you can add some final tips to our audience that doesn't work in law enforcement, maybe just the audience that's just the average Jane, average Joe. What kind of tips do you have for them?
Yeah. Before I forget, I want to say Semper Fi to Matty Boy Sully, and I think maybe one other person put it out there, so I didn't want to leave that out. Yeah, there's the average person. If you're not in law enforcement, the one thing I really think you need to do the most is when you're in public is being aware, using the CAR method, being confident, aware, and ready. But aware more than anything is if you got your head down on the cell phone walking around in public, you're asking to be attacked. You're just asking for it. You are not aware of your surroundings. On top of that, you want to be up here confident as well, as much as the best of your ability. If you could stay in shape, if you can have your shoulders back, if you can look around and not just, when you're not looking, you're not prepared. And I saw Valerie asked if I could say a few reasons why people hurt other people. There's at least 8 different types of aggression. At least I touch on 8 different types. There's predatory, there's maternal, but there's also parental. There's different reasons why people have aggression, hostility towards other people. And to be aware of them is nice, but they're all going to look the same at the end of the day when they come towards you. But I'd like to be aware of the aggression, the reasons why, the psychology behind it, why you can end up making someone angry as well. And I just want to say thank you guys for having me on. Anthony, thank you so much. Russ, it was nice meeting you. And thank you everybody else that contributed. It was a really great group. When you open things up, you just never know who you're going to get. I mean, just awesome group. You got an awesome audience here.
Yeah. Melissa, Alicia, Miss Kelly. I mean, they're all, Sharon, Syra. And yes, guys, of course, Syra's right. Moment of silence for the tragedy in Texas, of course. Heartbreaking news. Guys, there's actually, I was watching a YouTube channel. He was doing a show called Max Out, and he's got millions of followers, and he just wrote a book, and all the proceeds go to victims and victims' families. And he's actually doing a big round of proceeds from his book. He collects no money off the book, and he's sending it over to the families of those that we lost in that shooting. Horrible, with the teacher and the husband now passing, and they had a family of 4. Everybody wants to thank you, Sean, for being here. Sean, Russ, thank you for tuning in on today's discussion. I'm going to let you guys know what we have in the next couple of days. So I'm going to try to get Ann Salter on. I may try to do one more live sometime in the weekend, maybe Sunday night. We'll see if I can get a topic going. I want to make sure it's a topic that's really balanced. Melissa says you're awesome, Sean.
Well,
thanks for coming on. And then before maybe the next show, I'll share with you guys my experience. I loved California. Alicia says thank you for the book and for joining us. And Eric, thank you. I got a chance to meet Eric once again when I was in Atlantic City speaking at MASCA. He actually got a chance to attend one of the sections I was speaking at with Connie. So it was great to see him once again. He looked great. I haven't seen him since Oklahoma, which was prior to COVID. And just, seeing him again, it was just good to see you, Eric. He's a big part of the chat we have. You guys may not see it, but he's always putting in some good comments as well. And he also watches my back and makes sure I don't get wrong information out there, which I think is pretty cool. But guys, I just want to let you guys know I love the community. We'll have Connie on as well. And I'll try to get another show that you guys are interested in. If you guys have any ideas for a show, just email me at gangianthony@yahoo.com, or you can email our experts and I'll put them back on the platform. Sean, you have an email?
Yeah. The one I check the most, the word training at onefacetraining.com. It's my old, I work for Street Cop now. I instruct under them. It's my old one. I check it all the time. Training, the word training at oneface, ONEFACE, the word training again.com.
And Russ, do you have an email too?
Yes, I can be reached at either sierra.sargent@gmail.com, or the other one that no one ever gets any right, so I don't ever get any email there, but Custos Lupi, Custos Lupi, means keeper of wolves in Latin, at gmail.com.
And guys, I just want to show you guys just some quick pictures of when I was out in Cali. So there's one there, that's me. And then I was doing the plenary session, so I was the keynote. I thought this was pretty cool. I walked into this room. So this is all LA County. I was offered the chance to tour the prison, but I didn't get a chance because I had to come back to go to Atlantic City. But when I walked into the room, I saw this big thing. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's hard, but welcome to the plenary session with Anthony Gangi. It's like this big thing to acknowledge the keynote. And I'm going to show you guys the room, how the room looked before before everybody sat. I think you'll find this interesting, just to show you that it's a pretty big size room. Let me see if I can show you this. Can you see this right here? Watch this. Where's the play? Here we go.
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah, you see it?
Yeah.
So, we sat a few hundred people. I got a chance to speak for about 35 minutes. It was a keynote address. And then, let me show you Connie. If I don't show you Connie, I got to show you Connie, guys, because then me and Connie spoke in Atlantic City. And this is just some pictures of us speaking. I'll show you. So this is, let me go big again real quick. So that's me in the background. Eric was at this one, Eric S. Let me show you Connie. And that's me just tired. Just came back from California. So I was leaning on the podium doing the old man training. And by the way, guys, we don't have a PowerPoint. That was just a computer that was on. And there she is. There's my partner in crime. There's Connie, everyone. We did the importance of having civilians in custody working together as one. So as always, guys, thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'll talk to you guys hopefully this week. Maybe I'll have Russ come on, see if I can get Connie on. And hopefully if you guys have any ideas for a topic, please email me, and I'll do what I can to get a good guest on that can talk about that topic. Whatever you guys are interested in, we'll figure it out. I'll use my resources. As always, guys, love you guys. Stay safe.